Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's Easy Game here. I've been playing a lot of the casters in the pre-patch, preseason, and I have to say, the one that I've been enjoying the most is definitely the Shadowpriest. I've been having a lot of fun on it. Tons of damage, tons of burst, tons of cross CC, and tons of utility. If you're not enjoying the caster that you're playing right now, you might want to consider leveling one up. It's really quick to level, really easy to gear. You can do it in one day. And I know that because that's what I've done on several classes. You can level and gear in one day, so make sure you guys check it out if you haven't already. And guess what? Right when you hit max level, you're going to have this guide to help you out to get you started, alright? So let's get right into it. We're going to go straight into the talents here. We have the right side of the tree. I've tested a lot of these few things out. Idol of Yogg-Saron, I actually really like this ability. I think it's really cool, this talent. But unfortunately, to put it frank, it sucks. Okay, it just doesn't do enough damage. I wish it did because I actually like it. Hopefully they buff it so we can use it. But as of right now, the damage is just not there. So probably not worth it. Same thing with the Idol of N'Zoth. It was really good at 60. I thought it would be good at 70. It's just not. Just the damage, I don't know. The damage just seems really low. Not worth it. So I've been going with the left side here, the mindbender talents. The mindbender inescapable torment actually has been cranking. It does a lot of damage. It extends the duration of your mindbender as well, so your mindbender could just keep pumping out, giving you insanity, doing damage. I definitely think this is the best choice right now. As with the left side of the tree, a lot of it is optional. A lot of it's like utility or defensives that you could choose from. You can go the renew paramending route. I thought that was kind of underwhelming, to be honest with you. I thought the paramending and renew, just the healing wasn't worth it. It's very low for Shadow. You pretty much only need this right side of the tree. A lot of this stuff is mandatory, especially obviously mind games is insane, right? You need that. I think life swap is really insane too, especially for arena. You need that. But a lot of the other stuff is optional. I like to go with body and soul and feather. It gives you a lot of movement speed for a class that doesn't have any. So I'll show you to you real quick. So obviously priests are notoriously the wheelchair class, but check out how fast we are, right? We feather, body and soul. Weave these two back and forth. Feather again. Alright, right when a feather wears off, body and soul. Fast as hell. Look how fast we are, right? Something that priests have never had. A bunch of mobility. Obviously still not the same as other classes, but you know, it's a little bit of mobility, so I like speccing into both of them. As far as honor talents go, Siphene actually got a kind of a subtle nerf here. You can actually dot Siphene now, so the classes that struggled to kill Siphene can actually just kill it pretty easily now. So I don't take Siphene as much. It's still a good option though sometimes. Void Origin, Siphene, Catharsis, these are all interchangeable. You could also swap out Eternal Rest if you want. I like it though, it's a lot of damage. But yeah, Catharsis is actually really good now for Shadow because we have such high health pools that it actually hits really hard. Believe it or not. I've hit upwards to like 60 to 70k Catharsis, and it's just an instant cast, right? You just Shadow Word Pain. So it's actually pretty powerful talent now. I have a weakauras for it right here. You guys can see it. It's not very good. It's kind of crude. Hopefully somebody has a better weakauras, maybe that one that glows when it's full. I couldn't find one. This is the only one I could find. So I'll link it in the description for you guys. Hopefully somebody has a better one, or maybe they can make one out of this one. But if you do, leave it in the comments so we can all, myself included, can use it. It would help us out a ton if you any weakauras makers can make one. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up for the talents, I think. Let's just get right into the damage rotation. So right when you get to the best thing that they did for Shadowpriest, I'm going to show you right here. Check this out. Boom. Shadow Crash. I just applied all of my dots to 5 targets, right? You know how this works? So Shadow Crash applies Vampiric Touch to everyone it hits. But if you're spec'ing to Misery as well, Vampiric Touch applies Shadow Word Pain to every target it hits. So with these two talents together, it applies Vampiric Touch to all the targets, which then also applies Shadow Word Pain to all the targets. So all of your dots are applied instantly. It's amazing. I love it. It's the best change they've ever made to Shadowpriest. So you want to make sure in a team fight, you use this to get your dots up on as many targets as possible. It actually does respectable damage. I've hit like 70, 80k Shadow Crashes with Dark Ascension up. So the damage isn't, you know, it's not bad either. But mostly use it for putting dots up. Not so much just to do damage, right? These procs that I have right now, one of them is for Mind Spike. So what you want to do is you want to use your 2 Mind Spike procs, you get this buff right here called Mind Melt, okay? Buffs up your next Mind Blast, makes it instant, and also gives it a high chance to crit, right? And when your Mind Blast crit, you get this, you put this debuff on them that slows them by, I think it's 70%? 75% for 4 seconds. Undispellable. I think it's undispellable. 75% slow is really powerful. It's basically like they're almost not moving, right? But mostly, it's just for the crit and the damage. And also, Mind Spike itself hits kind of hard as well. It also procs from your Mind Spike, also procs your Psychic Link. So all the damage is spread to everyone that has dots on them. So this is why you want to prioritize keeping dots on as many targets as possible, because Psychic Link is a huge chunk of your damage. Your Mind Spikes, your Mind Blasts, you don't really cast Mind Flay too much, but your Mind Spikes and your Mind Blasts will be spreading to everybody that has dots on them. So it's a lot of AoE damage that adds up. And like I said, Mind Spike actually does big damn. Another important thing to note is when you're kicked on a Shadowpriest, there's actually a lot of things you can still do, right? It's not like a Warlock where when you're kicked on Shadow, you just AFK until it's over. There's really nothing you can do. On Shadowpriest, when you get kicked, you can still press a lot of your buttons. You can still Desperate Prayer as a defensive. Really useful if you're going to die in the kick. You can still Power Word Shield. You can MD. You can offensively Dispel. And you can also cast Mind Spike. Believe it or not, you can actually... Mind Spike is Shadow Frost, and the way that the schools work in WoW is when you're kicked on Shadow, you could still cast hybrids that use Shadow. If you're familiar with Warlock, that's always how it's been. Like, if you're kicked on Fire, you can use Chaos Bolt, but if you're kicked on Chaos Bolt, you can't use Immolate or Incinerate for some reason. So that's how it works. It's the same with Shadow. If you're kicked on Shadow, you can use Mind Spike. So a lot of times, you know, if I'm in a big team fight, I get kicked, I'll still have a couple, I'll just wait for some Mind Spike procs. I'll still have Mind Spike procs, and I could still weave out some damage while I'm kicked. So let's say I'm kicked right here. Oh, they kicked me. All right. Mind Spike. If I had another proc, I could Mind Spike again, and then we would Power Word Shield, or just make sure that you're always using globals even when you're kicked, because that's the strength of Shadowpriest, is that kicking them doesn't necessarily stop what they're doing, right? It does give you a little bit of a kill window because they can't press Disperse or Life Swap, but that's about it. You don't really stop them from getting important globals out. Oh, also at the start of every team fight, what I usually like to do is I roll up, you know, try to get a big Shadow Crash, and then also Damnation will proc this talent right here, Unfurling Darkness, which makes your next instant cast, your next dots instant cast as well. I think I let it expire, but... So, in the start of a team fight, you actually don't have to cast anything. You can get your dots on 6, 7, 8 people without casting a single one. They're all instant. Shadow Crash plus Damnation and then Unfurling Darkness. So that's a lot of dots that you can get out instantly without having to cast. It's a really nice quality of life change for Shadowpriest, because before you would always have to just spam VT. It gives you a lot of opportunities to get kicked, shut down, damage doesn't come out quick. So it's important to use Damnation like right off the rip, basically. Just get it out, get another set of dots out. That's 2 people dotted right there instantly. And then Shadow Crash, obviously, where we explained. I think that pretty much sums it up for the offensive buttons. We've already gone over the move speed when we went over the talents with MJ Felder and Body and Soul. Oh, and then of course mind games, you know, put in good mind games when you can, right? One thing, almost forgot to mention this, but when mind games is buffed by Dark Ascension. And the reason I take Dark Ascension is mostly for Void Volley here, because it lowers the cooldown, and Void Volley is really powerful, right? This all this stuff on the ground fears them, and it actually does decent damage, right? And it's just a 1 minute cooldown. I think it's better than a 2 minute cooldown. And it also buffs Mind Games, right? So my Mind Games is gonna hit harder because it's a direct damage spell. It buffs Death, it buffs Mind Blast, it buffs Mind Spike. All those hit 25% harder. So you want to try to get your mind blast out as quick as possible during your Dark Ascension. But if you're afraid of getting kicked, stuff like that, then you know you can hold it a little bit, but try to get it in your Dark Ascension because it will do more damage. And then during your burst window as well, you want to make sure, since we're playing Inescapable Torment, I'll show you right here. So let's get our dots up. So we're gonna go ahead, PI, Shadow Fiend. Want to get a death out right away, and then spam our Mind Blast. We want to get our Mind Blast out as quick as possible. Use your Insanity. Use our Mind Spike procs for the next Mind Blast. Death. Mind Blast. Mind Blast. Mind Blast. Death. Mind Blast. Weave these in as much as you can, because every time I do this, my Shadow Fiend strikes, right? My Shadow Fiend strikes everything with the Inescapable Torment, and it increases the duration of the Mindbender. So you'll not only will your mindbender last a lot longer, but it's constantly spam striking them for, let's see what the damage was right there. I mean, it was my number 1 right there. Did more than dots. Obviously, they're all clumped up. It won't be like this in an actual arena or RPG, but it's a lot of damage. It hits for, one of them hit for 20k, right? It crit for 20k. And it's free damage. That's the best part about it, is it's not an extra global, right? I don't have to press this button. It's just passively damage, which is really good. Anything that just adds damage and you don't have to think about it, and it's not an extra global, it's good. So make sure you weave in your deaths and your mind blast as much as you can during your windows with mindbender and PI. And then you obviously have one where you don't have PI because it's a 1 minute cooldown. But weave in those deaths, weave in those mind blasts, try to extend it, try to get the maximum inescapable torment procs. Let's go over the defensives now. So we have Vampiric Embrace. We've always had this, but now we get to spec into the buff version for free without sacrificing too much. You pretty much want to use this right when you get your damage rolling. Use it as like a trade, you know, like a tempo, a momentum thing, because it's not a direct burst heal, so it's not going to save you, right? Like Vampiric Touch isn't going to save you. But if you use it at high health, it will save you, right? Because, you know, you're going to have this passive heal coming that's going to negate their damage coming into you. But if you use it when you're low, it's not really going to do much for you. It's not an emergency heal. So get it out as quick as possible. It also helps your team a lot. It's big healing for your team. I usually pop this as soon as possible, right when I get all my damage rolling. Sometimes before I mind games, because mind games does give it a little bit of burst of healing. So yeah, don't think of this as an emergency defensive. It's more of a passive trading, like you want to use it while you're healthy type of defensive. Desperate Repair is really good because you use it while you're kicked. Like I said, a lot of kill windows on Shadowpriest are when they're kicked, but now we have Desperate Repair, right? So if you're kicked, don't die without pressing Desperate Repair, okay? You can still press it while you're kicked on Shadow, so press it. We have this is sort of a defensive, but it's just a root. This root, it says 20 seconds. It doesn't last 20 seconds in PvP, but they can actually kill the tentacles, the person rooted. A lot of times it takes them 2 to 3 seconds to kill it. So either way, it buys you a little bit of time. It's like a 2 to 3 second root. You don't lose too much for taking it. I think it's worth it. It's pretty strong. Sometimes I'll try to root. If somebody's on me, I'll try to root them and then get my Dark Ascension out, so they're rooted so they can't dodge the void volleys. That's one thing you can try. And also the cooldowns line up perfectly, 1 minute, 1 minute, so it works out, right? We also have Dispersion, as always. Really good defensive. Makes you take 75% less damage, heals you for 50% of your health, and it's such a short cooldown, 1.5 minutes. Definitely want to make sure you use this one when you can. Use it to avoid damage. You can use it at a little bit low health. You don't have to use it at 100% health because the heal, right? But you don't want to use it at 1%. You want to use it to mitigate damage when you're at like 60, 50, 70, 50%. And then obviously, you know, weave in your power word shields when you can, not only for the movement speed, but just because power word shield actually absorbs a lot. Let's see how much it absorbs. This one power word shield, I think it can actually crit now too, but this one power word shield, which is probably a non-crit, is 24k damage, right? On a 9-second cooldown. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for an instant cast, you know, instant cast button that you can cast while you're kicked. So you want to make sure you're weaving in these power word shield as much as possible. And if you're taking the Void Shield talent, you know, if you're taking passive like rot damage, you'll constantly be refreshing your Power Word Shield, so you might just not take any damage because your Power Word Shield will keep healing itself through the dots from your damage. So yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything. I guess I didn't talk about Mind Flay, but to be honest, I don't really cast Mind Flay too much anymore. I feel like between getting dots up and Mind Spike and Mind Blast and Death, you really don't have any Mind Flay filler goes. It's more like a filler spell, and it feels like you always have something to press now, so I really don't press Mind Flay too often. There has been times where I press it, but it's very rare. Yeah, and then I think that pretty much sums it up. Obviously, I think I talked about MD a little bit, but it's a very powerful defensive. You can MD clones off your teammates. You can MD any CC. Like I said, you can cast it while you're kicked, so make sure you get your MDs out. Oh, I guess I didn't talk about Mind Control. Mind Control, this is one thing I see people use wrong all the time, okay? So Mind Control, obviously, is a powerful spell, right? But a lot of times, I see priests just walk into a fight and they just start randomly mind controlling stuff for no reason. And it upsets your teammates. Don't do it, okay? Don't do it. Use mind control to MC cooldowns, to MC somebody off the edge, or to just cross CC, right? Don't just randomly press mind control. Puts them on fear DR, puts them on clone DR, and essentially does nothing because it's purgeable anyways, right? Or you might just mitigate your team's damage on accident by MCing a target that they're trying to burst down if you're not communicating. So use MC wisely, okay? It is a powerful spell, but don't just toss it around. Some people, especially in normal BGs, I've been seeing a lot of people just toss MC around, and it's quite frustrating for everybody. So use it wisely, all right? I think that pretty much sums it all up. Hopefully this helps some of you guys. And if you have, like I said, if you guys want to discuss anything, if you think a certain talent's better or something's bad, just, you know, leave a polite comment in the comments and we can discuss it. It is the start of an expansion, so I'm open to hearing new ideas, and you know, we can figure it out together. So leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and hopefully you guys tune into the stream and we can talk about it more. And until next time, I'll see you guys around.